No, I think so. Yo, what's up, guys? Can you guys see this? Is this live? I'm assuming it's live.
I can't see it yet. Oh no, we good.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yo, guys in chat, let us know if this is live. I haven't done this in a while, and I'm out of practice. Very much so. Yeah, we're live. All right, sick. All right, yo, what's up, everyone? Yo, it's good to be back. We took a week off last week. We had quite a bit to do, and we're coming back with a bang. We have Kieran with us. But before we throw it over to Kieran, yo, Skarks, how's everything with you, man? What's that behind you?
Yeah, good. That's my new green screen thing I've got set up. I haven't really delved into it heaps and heaps yet. If anyone's seen my streams, I've been getting rid of the background on my streams, and the green screen makes a big difference there. But besides that, yeah, I've just been sick, so I've been a little bit all over the place. To be honest, I'm still a bit sick, so you got to mind the coughing as I go. I'll keep trying to mute my mic, but yeah.
All right, sick. Yo, Kieran, how's everything with you, man? Are you excited to be back? He's like, nah, fuck that.
No, man. I'm doing well. Doing good. I've got a few months until I get married now, and obviously things are coming to a head with Illuvium, so things are good, man. Everything is super exciting, and yeah, happy to be here with you guys.
All right, sick. Yeah, we're gonna we wanted to be the first ones to interview before you do this crazy AMA run. I'm gonna put you on again. So we're gonna try and get as many leaks from you today, so that you don't have anything left for the other guys. Sound cool?
Sounds good, man.
All right.
Nothing's changed.
Nothing has changed. All right, going straight into it, man. Overworld. We've talk to us about the current state of Overworld, and before we go into the nitty gritty with other stuff, what do you think there is left to do before open beta? Because I know everyone is looking forward to that Q4 release date.
Look, it's pretty good, to be honest. Obviously, performance is one of the things that we have to get right before we go to open beta. We've released a few little clips here and there of what private beta 2 is going to be like, and we've got the new mechanics in there, movement mechanics, things like jetpacks, the wingsuit. Everything has had a little bit of an upgrade as well. We're also thinking about adding a few more movement mechanics in. You've probably heard about the grappling hook and stuff like that. Just trying to make it more interesting before we finally get to that stage where we say, okay, mainstream, here's our open world. We really want to make sure that everything is super polished. I'd love to say that we'd be able to go live with all 7 regions, but I think it makes more sense for us to be focusing on that polish and performance, and just adding a few little extra things. You've heard about morphopods, which just add a whole new dynamic to the overworld, and we just want people to be able to sit in there for hours on end, like your typical Monster Hunter type game.
Yeah, that's it. Do we? So you say we're probably not going to be getting the 7 regions on launch, which was already expected. We kind of knew we were going to go with the 3. What ideally, what do you think the time frame is before we have all 7 of them playable? And I know we're not going to hold you to this. This is just ideally in a hypothetical, a perfect world. What's the time frame that you'd like to see?
So the blockouts are done for an additional 2 regions, which is pretty good, and they've made progress on the last 2 as well. So, I mean, it's very, very hard, right? Like, I think once we get to open beta, that's when we're going to be reliant on a whole bunch of feedback from the community, from the players, to let us know, what works, what doesn't work, what would you like to see more of or less of, or whatever. And so I have a feeling that even though we'll be pretty close to being able to add those additional 2 regions, not obviously the 4, but the additional 2,
Mhm.
I have a feeling that we'll stay at 5 regions for a decent amount of time, just because there's going to be so much feedback that comes through across, thousands of different players that are saying, what, this, we love this stuff, we don't quite like this, or we think, different movement mechanics would make things, 2 or 3 times better.
Mhm.
While and to be quite honest, even the 3 regions, like when you go from 1 to 3 and you start going through these, the new ones, which you'll see in private beta 2, they're huge, right? Like they're absolutely huge. Now I've played for a couple of hours and I still haven't gone through either region 100%, right?
Yeah.
Like it's to that point where they're really 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 big, and so I think if we're able to add an additional 2 to that pretty quickly, then we would really really work to make sure that those 5 regions have super amounts of replayability. Everyone who joins goes, you know what? There's just so much diversity, so much choice, the different biomes,
Mm.
just everything works. And then, almost like expansions, another region comes, and then another region comes at the end there. So I don't have a time for you, but hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of how we're thinking about it.
I think one of my favorite things for Illuvium so far, especially when it comes to the overworld, is just how unique each region feels. Even in World of Warcraft, I never really got that. Every area in World of Warcraft sometimes felt really very much the same. Maybe it was because all the quests were the same thing, kill 5 of this or 5 of that. But there was a little bit of that. But Illuvium just feels so unique and diverse. And even like Shardbluff and Tiger both feel so different as well. So I'm really looking forward to that. So we're seeing more and more leaks for the overworld. Now, you've said you've played it already. How close is the Overworld Private Beta 2? Like with when the Overworld Private Beta 1 was coming out, it took about a couple weeks from when Dick was playing it in the Discord to when it came out. Like, what are we looking at here, Kieran?
Has Dick been playing in the Discord?
Now we haven't got to that point yet, but we've got. Well, he's played arena. He's played the arena, but not the overworld. So we haven't got to that point yet.
Look, we're extremely close, and put it this way: if I wasn't getting surgery on my eyes tomorrow, then I'd be going around, and we would be doing an AMA circuit all throughout this week. So you can kind of expect something again
Very soon.
dates, but I'm not even saying soon. I'm saying like very, very, very soon. Put it this way: we're in the final stages of UAT. Everything is looking good. Performance is as good as we're going to get it for where we're at, and Mac and PC are both looking really good. So yeah, again, I would expect it very, very soon.
Actually, this is something I've been meaning to ask for quite some time, and I'm not sure if you can really give me the answer to this, but that term UAT and all that sort of stuff is thrown around quite a bit. What does that actually look like? That final testing phase, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so it's essentially where we hand over the build. It's all dev is stopped on that instance. It's handed over to the QA team. The QA team is made up of 5 or 6 different 5 or 6 people in 2 different teams. We also have some web QA as well, but they don't really touch the game stuff, and they basically try and break it, right? Like that's their job. They and not just break it through things like trial and error on different graphics cards, different performance settings, but across the board through traversing every single region, doing every single possible action that you can think about in the overworld, and wherever a bug is presented, they then hand it back to the devs, and that generally, in the beginning, we had a very tight UAT time frame, but it quickly became, as we matured, it quickly became a lot longer process. This one, I think, has gone for about 3 weeks, and we're about 2.5 weeks into it. So yeah, like it's just a stage where we're trying to do absolutely everything we can to stress test, and yeah, it's looking pretty good.
So what I'm hearing is Cyberpunk 2077 did not have a UAT team.
Well, I don't know what happened there internally. I would assume that they did, but yeah, I mean, I think at some stage you get to a point where it's like we're so far delayed with this thing that we've just got to release something. And I don't know, maybe there was investor pressure or something like that. But yeah, they probably could have used a few more testers there.
100%, 100%. All right, yo, Kieran, with Illuvium Beyond, man, we saw well an attempt at a start of rewards, right, with the leaderboard and things like that. So that's been cool. We saw a massive positive effect from doing that in regards to more people getting discs, people getting competitive to try get on the leaderboard. What are your thoughts on potentially implementing rewards for survival in Overworld? Is that being thought of? Where do you stand on that? And just what do you think about that in general?
Look, Illuvium Beyond is, while it's in its early stages, it's very much a finished product for what we want out of that. You can sleeve things, you can finish collections. There's leaderboards where you can rise through the ranks, and so yes, that slowly will expand into touching more elements of the universe. But it's pretty much a completed product in the stage that we want it now. So I think that was why we were more willing to say, okay, let's really try and incentivize people to start playing this. Let's test the waters. We've got this million ILV that's sitting in a pool.
Mm-hmm.
That's very different to things being in closed beta, and particularly as well, the biggest distinction there is that one is open to anyone who wants to buy an Illuvitar or a disc or whatever, and the other is still in a private stage. So yes, we are going from 30,000 up to 75,000 in when we release this new beta, which obviously makes it a little bit more accessible to the community. But when you've got nearly 2 million people, and we're very, very close to that 2 million mark now, it doesn't really seem fair to say, hey, only 75,000 of you have the ability to earn rewards. But having said that, once we go to open beta, that's when things change. We've got a bunch of different ideas of how we can incentivize people to play more Overworld, more PvP, tournament play, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that makes, to me, that makes sense, right? Like I get that the community wants to be, or some of the community want to be more incentivized and want that retained engagement currently. But like you say, when we've got a list of like close to 2 million, incentivizing 35 to 75,000 seems one, unfair, and a little bit redundant in the greater scale of everything. Yo, Kieran, couple of questions I'm seeing from the chat. I don't know if you have the answer to this one, but when Grant Pying, I don't think he's going to do it, if I'm being completely straight. Did you mute yourself, Kieran?
Sorry, I was coughing. I accidentally muted myself.
That's fine. I don't think that's going to happen.
When will he get pied? I have no idea, man. To be honest, I think Danny's off to Dubai. I think he actually arrives today or sometime tonight. But when he gets back, I think we always treat Danny as like that
extra brother.
that fourth founder or fourth brother or whatever it might be. But yeah, I think we got more chance of getting Danny pied than Grant.
That's cool. That's cool. And yo, Caveman's also said that Abyssal Basin looks dark. Let me bring this up. Abyssal Basin looks dark and difficult. He's ready to explore that. I don't know, how much time have you spent in the Overworld, man, with the new stuff? Have you tried out both regions and whatnot?
Yeah, so about 2 hours. I think for me, it's the new movement mechanics. They're really, really cool. Like you get to the top, there's a bunch of high places that you can get to in both regions where it's just fun. I'm trying to think of the game, and the first thing that I said to Andre, I was like, dude, we need to have like a track, as in like some kind of like wingsuit track where you start at one point and you end at another, and you've got like multiple checkpoints that you need to be able to fly through. Fastest time gets on this like mini leaderboard. I think things like that are really going to bring it to life. But yeah, it's like Crimson. Like you think you've seen it all, and then you're like, wow, what the hell is this? Like, I don't know if you remember that first sort of hour to 2 hours in Crimson. There were places where you're like looking at the map and you're like, I know there is an alluvial down there, but I don't know where it is. I don't know how to get to it. And so it's similar to that. The lily pad movement system is really cool. The bubble mechanic is super cool. Just wait until you play. It's awesome.
Yeah. And I don't think people realize yet. Like everyone thought, like, oh, Crimson was pretty big. Crimson is absolutely nothing compared to the two that are coming up. Like it's absolutely crazy. Cool, Kieran. What are you? Sorry, I'm just gonna go through some of these questions as well. What are you most looking forward to when IZ Season 1 commences? Are you gonna be? I know you weren't initially a big fan of the style of game that Zero was, and then you kind of got hooked on it. I don't think you're gonna have time when Season 1 comes. You're gonna have Fraggy run that shit for you, right?
Yeah, it's it'll be a combination of Fraggy, and then I think Fraggy's even outsourcing it himself. I don't know, but yeah, look, I certainly don't have time to do it, but I mean, I tell you what, when it comes to creating blueprints and those first 10 blueprints or whatever it might be, do I want them? Yes. Will I make sure Fraggy gets all of them? Yes. But when it comes to generating fuel, that's when I'm going to really step in there and be like, all right, now like putting some pressure on whoever's managing that land. I hope it's Fraggy, but I want the most optimal fuel generation we absolutely can, because I just know how valuable that's going to be, particularly at the start. So yeah, he better make sure that and I recently went in and bought back like 3 or 4 cities. I was stupid enough to not check my land spreadsheet, and I gave away 3 land plots that were connected to mega cities. Sent it all to Jeremy, and Jeremy was like, ooh, I have something to tell you. And I was like, what? And he's like, you gave away your mega cities, right? And I was like, God damn it. But alas, I went back in. I made sure that I connected them back up. So yeah, I'm super excited for Season 0, but I'm really, really excited for the open beta when it comes to Illuvium 0.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yo, I'm gonna ask you. By the way, Zelith, who's asking about PvP experience, we're definitely gonna be digging into Kieran's answers there, so we will get to that. But Kieran, before I throw this back to Scarx, one serious question: are we going to see the return of Pork Lamington when this private beta 2 comes out? Because those were amazing streams.
Yeah, I'm sure you will, right? And look, it's just a balance. At the moment, we've got a lot to do. There's as you know, being CMO and also CEO, like I'm just across so many different things. It's hard to sit there and go, okay, take my head. Like usually when I take my head out of Illuvium, it's not to be like, yeah, let's go to a stream or whatever. It's like
exactly.
Actually see my fiance to make sure that I can actually get to that wedding. But Yeah, I mean, I say that, and then you haven't seen
comes out. Luvitas comes out, and then we go ham on that. So I'm expecting the same thing. But yeah, all right.
I should actually do some streams on Illuvium Beyond openings, because I said I would stop. It's pretty funny. Like I've gotten to the stage where I'm so addicted to Illuvium Beyond, and it's like, I don't want to say this. I definitely shouldn't say this on stream, but it's like, because it's this mystery box that you open, it's like it just draws you back in, and you're like, oh, what if I just open one more? I might get that Ramfire. And one thing that I usually do, and I like with land and trivia and all sorts of stuff, is I love doing with the community random stuff where I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go, let's do trivia, and I'll give away, 10 grand worth of stuff. But when it comes to Illuvium Beyond, after that first giveaway, where I think it was like I gave away something like 350 Illuvitars.
Crazy.
I can't risk that anymore. I'm like, it's got. I'm like, if I get a Ramfire, like I forget what it was that I got. I think it was like a holo.
It was in a door, right? A Dorito or some shit.
Maybe
a holo. It was an Dorito. I remember the one. Yeah.
And I was like, I mean, can I just have that and I'll open another 5 discs? You know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't know. That's kind of why I've been secretly opening discs at the moment, because I'm like, this game is just too addictive. Yeah. And then I think about that. I'm like, what if I go into the overworld, right? When things launch, and you're going around and you're like, okay, the next 10 encounters that I come up against will be for the community. If I can catch them, and then all of a sudden, Holo Ramfire comes up, I'll be sitting there like, oops, whoops.
Turn the stream off. Yeah, turn the stream off. Yo, sorry, guys.
Sorry, it's a worldwide blackout. I'm out. So I don't know. It's starting to get real.
Yeah, 100%.
There's certainly so much to be excited for. I'm even excited for like partner discs and Wave 2 and things like that. I don't think I'm going to get my Ramfire, but I'm eagerly awaiting for Wave 2. Let's put it that way. So moving on from that, from the time being, survival mode. So I've seen Dick playing it in the Discord. I don't think he's the only one. I think some other people from the team and stuff might have been playing it. I think a little bit as well. There are 28 new alluvials in the game. How much do they shake it up? Have you had a chance to try it yet?
Yeah, so I only play. I spent most of my time going around the 2 new regions, but I couldn't help myself. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get in there and play a game. Now, I don't know, maybe it was an easy day or whatever. I think I actually tweeted about it, but I got to, I think, level 22, which is decent for someone who hasn't played in whatever it's been, 6 months. But it is so cool to have the new characters in. So I think I was using the polar bear. I was obviously using Monkir, my own character. He was in that day. I was using Flood. Flood's sweet. Like, if you can get him in the middle, just healing your characters over and over and over again. Like, if you can put enough augments on him, so he's got enough energy regen, dude. It's like, now I don't know, maybe it's unbalanced or whatever, but it's just, for me, I was like, this is like God mode. So yeah, I've played. It's sweet. I probably should play some more.
Probably not. Let's not do that. Let's get our work done before we start playing that. But yeah, no.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just gonna go. Here's the big one. We've heard the team is playing PvP behind the scenes. You tell us everything you can about PvP, the game flow, how it works. Is it any fun? Is it competitive? Just go on as much of a rant as you can, please. I think everyone's really waiting for it.
Rant away, Kieran.
Look, I usually wait until it's until the version that I'm playing is a little bit more polished. I got to be honest, we were literally using spreadsheets at the moment to calculate, who's winning and what your health is at the end of each round and stuff like that. But essentially, the basis of it is you start off with a certain amount of points. So does your opponent. It's blind. You can't see what they're doing. They can't see what you're doing. You put down a team. I think you start off with like 160 mastery points, which is pretty decent. You can get down at least a couple of synergies in there. And when I played Martini, I used a water and he had earth, and he was like, earth is super OG at the moment. I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to go all water. And I lasted, I think we got until, no, actually, that's a lie. Sorry. We played 2 games. First game, he wrecked me. Second game, I actually learned, a little bit more about how to counter and stuff like that. And I think we got to like round 4 because you have a certain amount of health and you lose whatever they have left on the board is how much damage they do to you, right? So if it's super even, then you only lose a little bit of damage. You go to the next one. And then instead of, let's say, 100, and all of this is subject to change, but let's say instead of 160 mastery points, they give you 320. And when I say they, I mean us. But then you go up to, say, 480 and then like 600. And by the end, you're like, I think the plan is to have 7 levels in total. And if you get to that stage, it needs to be pretty even. Like you need to win one, they need to win one, you need to win one, they need to win one, pretty similar scores. But if you do get to that stage, that's when you have so many mastery points that you can start taking back a whole bunch of units. But if you do, then there's a tax on that as well. So it becomes, I play a lot of TFT in like when I can. If out of all the games that I play, it's pretty much TFT. And it's so frustrating with the amount of RNG that's involved. Whereas I feel like this is more akin to chess, right? Where it's much more skill-based. You can take risks in the hope that your opponent is going to take the bait and potentially swap out their character deck as well. And but if you do so, it's going to cost you mastery points. So you end up having a weaker ability to counter, but then that might just be a full flip that you needed. So it's very back and forth. It's good, but at the same time, like it's so manual without a back end that it's like it took us, I think, 50 minutes to get through a single game, whereas the intention's to get through a game in like 8 to 12 minutes or something. So it's like it gets frustrating, but I think honestly, it's going to be really, really fun. Really, really fun.
Yeah.
So the only other question I have on that, I think you've given a pretty good overlook at the flow. There's only really two other things that I think a lot of people want to know about. And the first one is some of the deck building sort of stuff. Like, do you see your opponent's decks? How many cards can you have? I know it's all subject to change, but like, is there a lot of thought that goes into that sort of stuff? And the other thing is probably the bidding and the legendary augments or whatever those are. I don't think many people really know what they're for. And if you have any details on that, that'd be really sweet.
Yeah, so legend, like the bidding is all about, you have a certain amount of points, and I think there's 3 that come up at any given time. In every round.
Yeah.
And again, all of this is subject to change. Like they were doing very early testing stage. I haven't even played the version that has it, but where you can actually you can bid literally all of them. Let's say they give you 6 points for you to bid on. You can bid all 6, and you almost guarantee that you get it unless the other opponent bids 6 as well, and then it's null and void, and no one gets anything, and no one can buy any other augments from there on. Or you can go, I know he really wants this, so he's probably only going to bid 3. If he gets it based on the deck that he has out there, I'm pretty screwed, so I'm going to bid up big, and you might match them and both do, say, like 3 and 3. Or you might go, you know what, I don't really want that one, but this person does, and you spend 2 and they spend 1. That means that you get it, right? Like the person who outbids the other gets it, but then he's got 5 left and you've only got 4 left, right? And then you don't know what the next augment is going to be. And so it just adds this little bit more of a, I guess, competitive skill where it's like you need to understand the meta and you need to understand how powerful an augment can be on their particular deck, because if you let them get one of these legendary augments and they get it without bidding too much, just because you don't really understand how that's going to help out that particular character, then it can be really detrimental to you, and it's hard to recover from that. So that's the plan with those, so which just adds a little bit more of an excitement to the battling element. Then in terms of decks, I think it's somewhere around 28 alluvials that you're allowed to bring into a match, but again, don't quote me on that. That's obviously subject to change, but it's something like that.
Yeah, and
I know you can't see the other person's deck. No,
you say you can't see the other person's deck,
as in you can't see the other person's deck when they're choosing, right? Like it's meant to be a blind round each side.
When you're placing on the board is what you mean, right?
Yeah, when you're placing
Yeah. So you can still see what they had on from the last round, obviously, so you can counter that. But
yes,
as they're playing it, it's blind every round, which is really cool. Yeah, 100%. Yo, Kieran, what again? We've tried this a bit, and you have obviously got experience with TFT. I do not. I played one, and I got destroyed, and then I uninstalled the game directly after. I was like, yo, fuck that shit. But the skill floor there was just way too high for someone like me, where, again, if I really wanted to learn it, I need to take the time, which I don't have. Is that going to be the case with Illuvium PvP from what you've seen? And, like, how does the current skill floor / ceiling meet your original expectation? Is it kind of where you want it to be? Are there still changes that you'd like to see? Where are you at with that?
It's high. I'll tell you that. I honestly think it's going to be higher than what TFT is, and just the sheer fact that we've removed a bunch of that RNG element, which is typical in auto battlers, is it makes it much more skill based, which kind of worries me. And I've said to Ben on multiple occasions, I've been like, look, man, like, once this goes to PvP, it's going to be very, very hard for people to learn. And he's like, it's actually not, and they're implementing a few different things to make it a little bit easier. You obviously have the ELO system where you're not going to be ranked up against someone who's a diamond player when you're bronze. So there are things to make it easier to level up, but it does worry me when people like you say that TFT is a really skillful game and it was just too hard for me and I just rage quit, because I think it is going to be slightly harder than TFT to master the game, but where that makes it really, really cool, and I think where League of Legends, the teamfight tactics mode that they have falls down in the esports arena, is that you can be an extremely skillful player, and if your cards don't fall right, you're screwed. Whereas it feels like in Illuvium, you're going to be able to utilize that skill set just a little bit better, and the player that has higher skill is going to win more of the time.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, man. Like market research right here, because again, I've never played Auto Battlers before. I actually think that Illuvium, what we have, the skill floor is actually a lot lower than TFT because it is so like what is it, random? Like it's super random RNG in TFT. Whereas this, you've got your deck, you've got everything. You kind of, even if you don't have to be great at it, but the entry level is still, it's kind of, I'm gonna use Smash Bros. Like anyone can pick up and play Smash, but there's a massive jump to being a good player, right? And I think that's the same thing here. Whereas I couldn't just come in and pick up TFT. I was like, I don't know what the fuck was going on. The UI was cluttered. Things were happening, explosions. Like I don't know what was going. Gems being dropped. I didn't know how to pick them up. There was a lot. there was a lot happening, and I was like, yo, fuck this game. The ping is ridiculous. It's just a bad experience. Whereas that's definitely not the case. Even in this like janky version that we have of PvP, it seems pretty straightforward with that. Yeah, so Scarx, you said Fuba had a question.
Yeah, let me grab it. Hold on. This. What is dust used for? I don't know who mentioned this. I have seen it be thrown around, but someone mentioned it in relation to Illuvatars. I think the running theory is destroying all your clown noses and you get dust so you can craft something similar to like your Hearthstone cards when you have a lot of duplicates. Can you give us more details on that? Do you know what they're talking about?
Dust? I've never really heard of this dust that you speak of.
It doesn't sound genuine at all.
Yeah. Wasn't this something that you tweeted about? But yeah, fair play. We won't push.
I don't think I tweeted about dust.
What did you tweet? Substance? That was the word, right?
Yeah, substance.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, I'm not going to push you, man. I want to keep my job, but anything you can say about it, please feel free.
It has something to do with getting rid of your excess. Maybe none of them are excess, but in my case, I feel like my 7.9 million lynxes are excess. But it gives you the ability to burn those Illuvatars, and that substance is going to, let's say, add to your fuel. Put it that way.
Ooh. Yeah, that's a nice little leak right there. All right, sick.
I don't know what that means.
I mean, I mean, I think that's a solid leak. Yo, yeah, in chat, let us know. Let us know if you guys feel the same way.
The only reason I just said that is because Aaron was like, "No, I've already said that," and I was like, "Dude, I think I would have heard more about this if you had said something like that." And yeah, so and remember, I said not replace fuel, but add to it. So think of what fuel, what use cases fuel has, and then think about what would happen if you sprinkled a little bit of this dust that you speak of.
This dust, yeah. Fair. Yo, Kieran, going back to the PvP thing, right? Okay, this is actually something that I want to ask you. We've seen that idea from Zeptal about getting Web 2 creators into PvP, that's the right time to start reaching out. Genuinely, as CMO and someone who is an expert at marketing, when do you think it makes sense to do a massive push into the Web 2 content creator side of things? I didn't actually plan this question. It just kind of came to me now. But do you think it is during PvP, even in that beta stage, or like, and I'm talking a major push? When do you think we should really start to do that? And what's the reason for your thought process there?
So I think it needs to be two-part, and this is the way that I've always seen it. And it's a tough one because we have a lot of people in the community that are constantly pressing to say, where's the marketing, what's happening there. Not many people know that we spend a very, very, very small amount on marketing. And so it's a good question to ask. When do we actually go to mainstream? The reason I say it's two-part is I think to get the second part right, you need to have the first. And the first is partnerships with esporting organizations, right? Now, TFT, Dota, they're not massive when it comes to and Dota Underlords is what I'm talking about. They're not massive when it comes to esports. And again, I think the reasoning there is because the RNG takes away from some of that competitiveness that you see in like real league. And so we have already partnered up with two. We announced one, two or 3 months ago. We've got a new one, which we'll be announcing very, very soon. Talking, top 5 esporting company in the world that's starting to dabble in Web3. They haven't. When I say dabble, we will be there first, but they're starting to look at it. And then there's another one which I've been speaking to for about 18 months, which was prior to the big crash, was about to go all in, and then pump the brakes a little bit and said, let's just wait until the dust settles, and then we'll come back in. And we've already started conversations with them as well. So that will be 3 top 15 esports, 2 in the top 5 companies that we'll be working directly with. They have teams of TFT players.
Yes.
We'll be doing cross marketing across merchandise, across Illuvatars, and then with that, when they're advertising our IP, whether it be through Overworld or Illuvatars and stuff like that, that's when we'll get them saying, hey, start testing out PvP. And that's part 2, right? Like, we need to be first in a position where we can gain access to these guys. And I don't mean like, hey, here's $500,000 to this one influencer who happens to be a TFT player. That's not sustainable. What we need to be doing is saying, let's go at the organization level. We're already doing work with you with Illuvium Beyond and merchandise collections and physical stuff, all of that type of stuff. It just makes sense for you to be presenting our games. And these guys, not just at an organization level, but these guys at an individual level across their Twitch streams, their YouTube followings, all of this kind of stuff. We're talking in the tens of millions across the ones that we've got signed already. So that's why we're waiting. I don't want us to go out with a product that mainstream are going to look at and be able to say, hey, that didn't work, or that looks a little bit janky, or these graphics aren't 100% polished. We may not be in a position where we only have one shot at things, but I think if we treat it like that, if we treat it with that amount of care, then we're going to give us the best chance to really be that first game that gets people to go, well, they didn't just pay that influencer $500,000. These guys are doing merch deals with them. They're doing a whole bunch of marketing with them. Plus, that game looks amazing. Yes. I mean, I think you need that 2 parts to that to be able to make it a really good marketing campaign. And of course, we think about this type of that's insight into that.
Yeah. And I think, sorry.
No, you go first.
No, I was gonna say, and I agree with that, Kieran. Like, in regards to, I think the misconception is that we're just out here going to influencers individually and being like, "Yo, cover us," which is not what we're trying to do. Like you say, with esports teams and things like that. That strategy makes more sense because it opens up the door to, like you say, a lot more things, and it builds that relationship. And I think with content creators, especially, and building that, I don't think a lot of people realize it's not as transactional as they think. It's more relationship based, and obviously there is compensation involved in those larger kind of scale discussions. But it is obviously relationships. If they don't fuck with you, if they've got no respect for you, they're not going to do anything like that. So. And that takes time to develop that. And you need to build that trust in a solid way rather than, let me give you this much cash, cover us in a video. That's just absurd. And that's, I think, yeah.
the best one that I loved hearing recently was, well, if you don't pay for influencers, which first the insinuation is you pay for influencers and we know that and you must be spending a fortune on them. It's like, well, no, we don't. And then they're like, well, then why do you hire TSG? Like, what?
I was hired not to do that. I was hired not to do that.
And I was like, he does nothing. We are a charity. All we like to do is pay our core contributors to do absolutely nothing. No, the guy's out there. He's managing, I don't know, 150 plus influencers. You know, and when you don't have a budget, which I've explained to you, you don't have a budget. I mean, it's very, very minimal. I think at one stage you're spending like $2,000 a month or whatever.
Yeah, I still am.
You've got to build relationships, right? Which takes a person, it takes time. It's a lot of effort. You work a lot of hours, and yeah. So we'll take that approach of super low spend but high impact marketing, and we'll bring that to Web 2. Obviously, it's not going to be as easy as what I feel like it's been in Web 3. We've got a pretty damn good marketing presence when it comes to Web 3, but and we're definitely going to need to use some more traditional methods. But yeah, that's what I love, right? Like growth hacking. You hear me talk about that in our marketing meetings all day long. If someone comes up with a scrappy idea that can get us an extra 5,000 registrations with $0, I'm like, I'm all in, you know. So we'll take that approach and bring it to mainstream.
100%.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you've already led us into this one. So many people have been asking for it in the chat. When merch store? People want those plushies, Kieran. Give us the details. Like, I know it's close.
All right, so we are, what are we at, Monday? I lose my eyes tomorrow, so it's going to be a little bit tough. But I would say internally, we will be opening up the merch store to our core contributors Friday. Now, the cool thing there is that it's like a real world user acceptance testing, right? The UAT environment, where if I order my jacket and I'm sitting here and if it says it's going to come in 5 days and I'm waiting in 3 weeks, then we know we've got issues, right? But if stuff starts streaming through and payments are working, everything is all good, the suppliers are working, we've got there's 3PLs that we've organized. There's agreements that we've organized globally. Shipping, there's so much that has gone into this. And we did the photo shoot, I think, a week and a half ago on the jacket, and you see the quality there. That quality stems across the entire range of merch. And it's gonna be really, really good, right? Like we put so much effort into it, and I'm just as excited as the community. I'd say Friday internal, all is well. After a couple of weeks, we open it up, free reign.
Yeah, yo, Kieran, can we?
That's so exciting.
I know the answer to this, but do you want to answer this? Can we buy with Sil for the merch?
No.
No, there's a cost of production there that we need to cover. We need to cover.
Yeah.
That's funny. All right.
Okay.
Cool.
So the last PvP question we've got is, who is the best PvP player out of you, Dick, TSG, and whoever else you might want to drop on the stream?
Now leave it us three. Leave it us three.
At the end of the day, it's still an auto battler. Both Rich and TSG are dog shit, so I think I win that one by default. But we haven't actually played each other, so I guess time will tell. But I would be, if you gave me some betting odds, I think I'd be paying $1.20 to beat those guys.
TSG is like $120.
Once PvP comes out, I'm actually really excited to have you on stream. We have to do that, and we will have a little side wager because none of that is endorsed or complimented by YouTube. So we're not going to do that publicly, but side wagering for sure, 100%. But I did, fun story for anyone that I wiped Dick. I completely wiped him.
Hit
And
him?
dude, smashed him. Do you want to hear what my crazy strat was?
Sure.
All I did, Doka, just 5 Dokas back to back. Pure fighter, cleaned him up. He couldn't do anything with it. It was funny as hell.
I would have annoyed the shit out of it.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I haven't let him live it down. But all right, partner discs, man. So we've talked about partners. We obviously wave one. I mean, I think we can say that after the launch, the issues with the launch, overall, it's been pretty successful for a first attempt. I don't think there's any denying that at all, especially with the leaderboard and the rise in activity there. But that's ending in what, not a couple of weeks, but it's not much longer that's going to be around.
Yeah, like 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Is that only 3 weeks? God damn. I need to get more.
Yeah, because it went from March 7, right? So I think it's 3 weeks.
Yeah. So I need to. I'll do a stream where I go for that last hurrah and try and get something decent. Out of everything I've opened, I've got 1 tier 5, which is the utmost bullshit. But regardless, partner discs. We've heard about them. What can you tell us about them? How big do you think they're going to be? Just again, your thoughts on that experience.
It's an interesting one. So, like, we've been talking about this since the inception of the Illuvitas idea, the ability to do cross-pollination between Web 2 and Web 3 brands, bring them over. It's a way for a Web 2 brand to dip their toe in the water and not so much not fully expose themselves as, hey, this is us as the Web 2 brand just going out and selling you a whole bunch of NFTs, but for not much reason, not much purpose there. This is a way for them to do it collaboratively in a gaming environment where they're already doing it in mainstream, but we're just selling digital collectibles that happen to be able to be sold and resold and whatever. And so I think this as a category is going to be absolutely huge, where partnerships with some of the large scale games, we saw Gucci do it with Other Side and Bored Apes. I think this is just the beginning. So generally at a top level, I think they're going to be really successful. Having said that, we are in the midst of a bear market, right? And so it's not the optimal time to be releasing these things. But let me just give you a little bit of insight into our first partner. So these guys have dabbled in Web3 before, ever so slightly, but they've dabbled. And these guys have over 5 million members, right? Like people who pay across the board for what I would call
a subscription service, a membership,
a service, a membership, whatever you want to call it. Subscribers. I don't want to give too much away.
Yeah,
but 5 million, right? Now there is only going to be 20,000 of these first discs. Now I'm going to leak something else. We're selling them at $50. Now, this is all about testing the waters. If you do those numbers, quick math, you're talking $1 million. In the grand scheme of things, that's not much when you're talking Illuvitas, but that is our first little dabble. Now, if we get, let's call it, I don't know. Let's say we get 10% of those guys to come across, right? To even look at it. You're talking 500,000. That's not including the 1.9 million that we bring on our side. Now, you can say there's only 10,000 people that hold Illuvitas, but how many of those 10,000 hold just a single Illuvitar? I would say very, 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 very few. Most hold like 50 or more. So we are going out with this first initial sale where we might look at it and it might sell out in 10 minutes. This is the first time ever we put a limit to anything we've ever sold outside of
The
our
alpha.
land, and we saw what happened with land. Except these are at $50, right? And with the potential of exposing ourselves to 5 million plus people, I'm pretty confident that this is going to go very, very quickly. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. I know how many I'll be buying. That's for sure.
I'm definitely, I'm going to go pretty hard on it as well. And yeah, I'm excited. I think, again, like what you said before, it allows people to put their foot in and kind of see what it's about. And again, it goes back to the whole thing that we mentioned before about relationships. It gives us a chance to develop that relationship that's mutually beneficial. And then it opens up that conversation for much bigger things. Yeah, and it's fun. It's fun. Again, I've been in a lot of those conversations with Lauren, setting these things up, and yeah, it's good fun to see where.
What do you mean? You don't do anything?
I don't do anything. No, that's right. I just I just record governance videos. That's all I do. Once every 6 months, I put my head up and do some shit. But yeah. All right, Scorax, do you want to take the last one, man, and then we can wrap this up as well.
I want to know when those partner discs are. So they're during wave 1, right? So they're soon.
So there is going to be a very, very short delay. Yes, so there's going to be only one partner in first wave. We wanted to add another one in, but there's a strategic reason why we're not. Wave 2 will have 2 partners. When we actually go live with that first partner in wave 1, will be slightly after wave 1 finishes. So we'll do a last hurrah push where it's like you got 1 week left to get your Ramfire Scoriox. If you don't get it, you're never going to get it ever again, and you're going to be paying a premium on the Illuvidex. We'll be doing that push, and then you'll see a stage where essentially the website will turn into a coming soon. We'll announce the partnership. There'll be a whole bunch of PR that comes out with it because it is a very, very large scale partnership. Then we'll be doing that hype stage of informing their members, informing our community, and then we'll go live with it very, very shortly after.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
It's only a 3-day sale.
That's another leak right there. That's another leak right there. Yeah.
Could be 3 minutes. I don't know. I mean, I know how many I'll be buying myself, and so yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Oh, can we? I don't know, Kieran. Can we kind of mention what's going to be inside the disc? Like, is it going to act the same way as the standard discs with 2 Illuvitars, 3 accessories? I don't know. Can we share that? Should we share that?
No.
Okay. Yeah, you guys are gonna have to wait for that one then. All right. Oh, good, man. I think that was pretty much it for the questions. We got quite a few leaks. We hit PvP. Scarx, anything that you wanted to ask real quick?
No, I think that just about settles it. I'm looking forward to wave 2 of Illuvium Beyond. I can't wait for Overworld. I'm mostly excited. I remember when Overworld PB1 came out, everyone was streaming and it was a lot of fun. I mean, I still really enjoy playing Overworld PB1, but I'm very excited to be messing around with 3 different regions. It gives so much more variety, especially when you're producing content and all the rest of it. So that's really, really hype. The arena and stuff as well. But I just can't wait for PvP. I think there's going to be something magical about being able to be like, oh, TSG, let's stream tomorrow. I'm going to take you on and we'll see who wins. You know what I mean? Like that's going to be the feeling that we've all been striving for these past 6-8 months at least. You know, and I'm very excited for that. And I can't wait till it happens. But yeah, I think we covered off everything.
Yeah, awesome, man. Yo, Kieran, anything else that you wanna leak before we wrap this up? I'm glad that we got you for the first AMA back on the sprint. I know you said you're not gonna do a sprint this week, but I'm not sure if you've seen the calendar. There's still quite a few Twitter Spaces. You won't be able to look at the camera, but you can definitely talk on the phone.
Yeah, that's right. We did say that. Well, I got one tomorrow, don't I, at 6 a.m. and then.
I'm again, the guy is sleeping, so I'm confirming that one. That's a big one. For anyone that is here, actually, I'll kind of say it. That one, we've actually got an exclusive clip of Overworld Private Beta 2. So the moment we get confirmation of that, I'll let you know as well, Kieran. And that will be one not to miss as well. That's like a clip that hasn't been seen before. So that should be a big one. And then, yeah, the rest of the week, you've got like a lot of AMAs. You said you hadn't had one in 6 months, right? So I again didn't do anything and just made it. I don't know. I just waved the magic wand and made these things happen.
Yeah. So awesome. Sounds good. I'll work out. I'm sure my eyes won't be that blurry. Like I should be able to click into a Twitter space, so that should be fine. But
Fingers crossed.
looking
But all
forward to
right,
that.
cool.
What was the last question that just came out? What about promotional NFTs?
Caveman had a really good suggestion where the promotional NFTs, I think things like the Bulldogs one and the Aussie one, could they be added to Illuvitar collections? They're not really Illuvitars, but they kind of feel like the same sort of realm. Do you have any ideas or thoughts, or have you talked about that at all?
We've got some, so I won't reveal anything, but we have some plans for those promotional NFTs, because it's not just two of them. There's tons of them that are, I think there's 17 in total or something. So yes, there is a plan for them. They won't be added to Illuvitars because they're not Illuvitars, but rest assured, there is a plan for them.
Awesome. All right, all good, Kieran. Anything else before we wrap this up? Anything you want to kind of share or say, or you want to close this out?
No, that's it. That's
all
it.
Right,
Thanks for
all good.
guys. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, Scariox. Everyone, will catch you guys the next time I make some content. Peace.